Okay, I'm back. So this is now Tarot Lesson 166, and I've got 3 points to make. First is, it's all about how you learn to read cards, or how you learn what cards mean, or what they indicate, or how to answer a question, whatever the question happens to be. So I've got 3 tips or hints or cues, whatever you want to call them. First is Sophistry and Socrates. Then a little bit about Shakespeare. And then a third part, I don't know what to call it, but we'll get to it. So the thing is, I saw this video, and it was called The Only Philosophy Book You Need to Read. And I thought that sounded interesting, so I watched it, or I watched the beginning of it. And what I took from it was, in ancient Greek times, there were people called Sophists. Sophia is the Greek word for wisdom. And a sophist was somebody who was some kind of expert and would give you answers about a particular area, about maybe poetry or whatever, philosophy, whatever it happened to be. So a sophist, nowadays it's not a good thing to be a sophist, because it kind of indicates that you think you know answers, but maybe you don't. And it struck me, people with the tarot, we look for, or in the beginning, we look for a book that gives you the answer. And that's a bit like going to somebody, a sophist, and saying, what does this card mean? And getting an answer. The problem is, there's another approach, the Socratic method, where Socrates, according to Plato, he would ask somebody a question, and then he would ask follow-up questions, and he would ask a sophist, what is piety, or what is justice? And he would get an answer, and then he would say, okay, well, you say justice means this, but what if this happens? And then the sophists will change their story or change their mind and give you other information. So it's more like with the tarot, you can be a sophist, where you've got an idea of what the answer is and you talk about the answer. Or you can be Socratic, and you can look at an answer and ask questions of the meaning. So with that in mind, I went to ChatGPT, and I typed in, what is the Temperance card in the tarot? And I'll read it as here. The Temperance card in tarot represents balance, moderation, patience, and harmony. And that's like the sophist answer. That's what it means. Then it said it's the 14th card of the major arcana, and is often depicted with an angel mixing in liquid between 2 cups, symbolizing the blending of different elements to create something greater. So that could be the answer that the sophist gives Socrates. But then Socrates, or us nowadays with the tarot, we've got here, the tarot represents balance. But then I took out these cards. Justice represents balance. I think we can see we've got a scale here, and it's balanced. So you get the Temperance card represents balance, but is that really telling you anything when other cards represent balance as well? And I want to say no, it doesn't, because the Wheel of Fortune can represent balance, because you've got somebody balanced, this Sphinx balanced on top of the circle. And it's easy to fall off, but it's balanced. The second word was balance, moderation. Moderation. I can't think of what to say about moderation. The third word was patience. The Hermit is patient. So what good does it tell you that the Temperance card represents patience when so many other cards represent patience as well? It's not really telling you anything. The Emperor is patient. If you're going to run an empire, you can't rush, or you appreciate that you plan and you take your time and you put things into place, and then in order to do that, you have to be patient. The Strength card, the woman in the Strength card is patient as well, because she knows she's probably not going to get an immediate calming down of the lion. And so she needs to, or the person represented by the woman needs to take their time and appreciate that things don't change overnight, especially some things. Because if you've got really ground in ideas about something, you can't change them overnight. It's like an oil tanker takes like 20 miles to stop, whereas if you're in a canoe, you can stop like in 2 feet. So some things take longer to slow down and stop than others. And then, what was the third word? Patience. Also with balance, we've got the lovers, which is kind of balanced because you've got the man and the woman and they're together, but they're maybe focusing on the angel, whatever it happens to be. And then harmony. And that's maybe why I took out the lovers card for harmony. But maybe the Hierophant represents harmony as well, because you get the two students down below paying attention to the expert above. So they're in harmony because they appreciate and they're in line with what the expert is teaching them. But they're also, maybe it also represents harmony because they're two people together. And with the hangman has to be patient. So with sophistry, or with looking at an answer, you get answers, but then the next step for us individually, I think, is to question the answer or look at the words that are used and see what does it mean, or what does it lead to, or what comes next, or is it really telling you anything? Because if 10 of the cards can represent harmony, what good does it tell you that the Temperance card represents harmony? So that was point 1 about sophistry, or the Socratic method. Okay. Then I need to keep these 2 cards out. So Shakespeare said at one point in one of the plays, what's past is prologue. Maybe I should write that down. No, I won't. What's past is prologue. So what's past, what's in the past, what's already happened, rather than what the past controls the present and controls the future. What's past is prologue. The past is an introduction to the present, in the same way that the present is an introduction to the future. So if you remember what's past is prologue, 4 words, and write them down on a piece of paper, it'll give you maybe a starting point for understanding a card or a position of a card. So because what's past is the introduction. So if you've got, for instance, past, present, and future, that's the past, that's the present, and that's the future, right? So what's the past is the Two of Pentacles, upright. The present is the Temperance card, and the future is the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so let's say somebody wants to know, tell me about me, past, present, and future. You could maybe say, that's you in the past, the Two of Pentacles. That's you in the present, the Temperance card, and that's going to be you in the future, the Wheel of Fortune. But maybe if you take the idea of what's past as prologue, maybe we can help the questioner to make a connection between the past, the present, and the future. Instead of giving them 3 distinct and separate positions or meanings and let them put it all together, maybe we can help them put together a story or put together a trajectory or a path between them in the past, what's going on now, what's coming up in the future. And if we take the idea of what's past is prologue, that this card in the past, the Two of Pentacles, in some way or somehow was the introduction to the Temperance card. Instead of looking at the past as past and it's finished and it's gone and it's not going to happen again, maybe it's an introduction to what's going on now. And it gives you, the reader, a connection between these 2 cards. and you can maybe make sense of it. And as you try to make sense of it, you talk and the questioner gets something out of what you're talking about. So here we happen to have the Two of Pentacles showing a person with 2 coins. The middle card shows an angel with 2 cups. The other thing I meant to, it came up, but so in this chat GPT, the 14th card, an angel. Okay, so the Temperance card shows an angel. It's not a regular human being. So does this mean that what's represented by the Temperance card depends upon us taking a spiritual approach to the situation? If we try to be normal and typical and appreciate and solve the problem using normal everyday methods, it's not going to work, because the person solving the problem or working is an angel. So, but the chat GPT glosses over the fact that it's an angel. And then what have we got? 2 cups. And it says here, the angel is mixing liquid between 2 cups. If you look at the Temperance, does that look like the angel is mixing? Because if you're mixing liquid, it's going to fall straight down. It's not going to go at an angle. So it's not really liquid going between these 2 cups. Maybe it's energy, or it's some kind of connection between these 2 cups, and there's a flow of information maybe between here and here. And it also looks to be, is it going down or is it going up? So is the angel able to take something lower and turn it into something higher? Or if it were a person, all you can do is pour it down, because you can pour liquid from a cup into another cup that's on the ground or on a table, but you can't pour liquid from the table up into the cup. So is it that the angel is able to defy the laws of gravity? Do you know what I mean? So that it can in some way make the energy flow up and down, whereas all we can do is let the energy flow down. So that's kind of what I was meaning about the Socratic method, where instead of just taking the information of the word, see what you can do with it, and what more you can make of the information. Because so we've got the Temperance card here, we've got 2 pentacles here, right, and we've got 2 cups here, as if in the past you were normal and everyday and you were trying to juggle things and you're trying to balance. But now you're a much different kind of person, because the person that you were then was trying to juggle. The person that you are now is able to defy the laws of gravity. So you're more knowledgeable. You've got a knack for doing something. You've got insight that other people generally don't have, because you're represented by now an angel or the Temperance card. So you still get the 2 things to balance or juggle, but here all you can do is juggle them and try and make them work together. But here you've got something more going on. So maybe if you're going for a job interview, this is you preparing for the job interview. That's you performing in the interview and giving them answers that they never thought of. So you perform really well in the interview just because you're defying the laws of gravity, or because you're making connections that people didn't see. Because the card is upright, okay, you make connections that work. If the Temperance card had been upside down, you try to make connections, but they're illogical, or they don't make sense, or they're not going to work, or they're going to fall apart. Or you're going to try and you're aiming for something and you're going to fall short. Or you're aiming for something and you miss the target because the card is upside down, and you're not able to make the bridge between 2 conditions or 2 circumstances or 2 people. And then in the card for the future, so this skill and ability that you've got as an angel able to defy the laws of gravity, that's also is prologue. This condition that you're in now sets the tone or sets the scene for the future, represented by the Wheel of Fortune. You're going to go from strength to strength. You're going to go make a new, because it's 10 for 1 plus nothing, you're going to make a new beginning, but it's like a new beginning at a higher level. It's not just an ace, it's a 10, and it's a 10 of a major trump. So that was point 2 about what's past as prologue. And point 3 was, I watched an interview or a couple of interviews with a fellow called Daniel Priestley. And he's some kind of business entrepreneur and he runs companies and so on. So at one point, he said, environment dictates performance. And the environment, whatever it happens to be, dictates, tells you what's going to be possible, dictates performance. So the first thing I thought was, it's important to have to set up a room, or to set up your desk, or to set up your tarot practice or tarot study in a nice environment. If you've got the radio playing and the TV going and people running in and out the room and yelling at each other, that's one kind of environment. But your performance is going to be dictated by the environment that you're in. Whereas if you're like the High Priestess, if I can find her in here, where it's quiet and dark and there aren't too many distractions, and there she is. Okay, so if you set up an environment like the High Priestess has, she's got a book in her lap. So that kind of environment of tranquility and peace and darkness and not too many distractions and focused concentration, you're going to get an awful lot more done because your performance is going to be that much better. In the same way that the High Priestess can represent secret or occult or hidden knowledge and wisdom, that if you create an atmosphere, an environment like that, you've got a chance of being and understanding what the High Priestess can understand. So he said, Daniel said, environment dictates performance. And I thought that's good. I can see the sense of that. But the other thing is, the reason I kept these two cards out is because when he said, so he then talks about environment dictates performance. So he said, if you're stuck, if somebody's stuck, what you could do is go to the top of a building and go to the highest point in your city and look out over the horizon. And because you're that much higher, because you've got a view of the horizon, the environment that you're in is now much bigger, much broader than if you're stuck in a room or if you're stuck. So when he talked about, so what you can do is you go to if you've got a restaurant on the top of a building, go there and look out the window and you get new ideas. So if you're stuck, go to a high point. And I immediately thought of that, the Two of Batons. So this, from a statement by Daniel, you've now got something additional you might want to say to a questioner when the Two of Batons comes up. What's your environment? And your environment dictates your performance. So if you're stuck, go to a high position and look out, and you'll get new ideas, and it'll change your thinking and change your mind and change what you believe is possible. And it's liberating because you're up in a high... Yes, you have to come back to your room or come back to your situation, but nevertheless, you come back a slightly new person because you've got a new perspective, a new angle. And then as I was looking for this Two of Batons here, I also thought maybe it's the Three of Batons as well. Can be go to a high point and look out and you get new ideas. So sometimes from what you come across or what finds you, somebody mentions, somebody talks about it, or you read a quote in a book or something, you're watching a video and you get some idea. Remember the tarot, because I think you're always going to be giving yourself hints and clues and tips. So if you can remember, you're also studying the tarot and you want to know better what it's all about, you're actually educating yourself, though you may not realize it or you may not know it. Okay, so that was it for today. So thanks for watching. I'll be back in a few days, and if you comment... Oh, the other thing is, I mentioned before about writing or putting together this tarot workbook, but I'm thinking of calling it the tarot playbook, only because work is work, and we often don't like work, but we don't mind playing. So I'm thinking of calling it the tarot playbook. So so it's going to be, the first part is going to be typical dilemmas or problems or questions that people have about reading the tarot. If you have what you've struggled with, or what you found confusing, or what you think a good area might be to examine in the playbook, leave it in the comment down below, and I'll gather that information and I'll turn it into part of the problems dealt with at the beginning of the work or the playbook. That was it for the moment. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Okay? Bye-bye.